Good morning, everyone. We are looking at a tremendous amount of snow coming down right now, especially across the Northeast. Hope you're doing well on this Sunday. And let me tell you something. This precipitation shield will continue to expand to the north this morning. Some heavy snow starting to already fall across parts of Pennsylvania. I was looking at some of the observations here, not just into PA, but also into Northern Virginia, New Jersey, New York City. Heavy snow being reported here. Washington, Dulles, light sleet being reported. Also into parts of the D.C. metro region, even though it's showing all snow, we are mixing over with some sleet here. That's going to cut down on some of the totals. But heavy snow falling in and around southeast Pennsylvania, and certainly across a lot of the rest of Pennsylvania, too, back to the west. There are some breaks in the snow, but we do have quite a bit of banding of the snow developing across Ohio. That continues to move really just west to east. The bands aren't moving very much. They're just sort of propagating, I guess, as the moisture moves north, but definitely some heavier bands into that, and a lot of mixed precipitation to the south across parts of North Carolina. Look at these temperatures. I got them overlaid because I think it's interesting to see that it's raining, and it's at 18 degrees just north of Charlotte. Here in Mecklenburg County, temperatures in the teens, and we're looking at a lot of freezing rain with this type of setup. Even further to the north and east, up towards Raleigh and Durham and Greensboro, temperatures in the upper teens, back towards Greensboro and Winston-Salem into the low teens in some of these regions, with a lot of ice expected up along the Blue Ridge to cause problems. Bit of a dry slot moving through this region right now. But all this precipitation that's back to the west, this is going to be a big problem as we head into this afternoon, as the freezing rain will stick around. We're not done with this by any stretch, unfortunately, so I think you're going to see more issues with power outages and problems. I was looking across Mississippi this morning, quite a few power outages here in the tens of thousands at this point, and this could continue to increase as we're seeing some more freezing rain move through even right now, with temperatures well below freezing across this area in the 20s. You can kind of see the back end of it, and there's actually another side of this for Mississippi and into Alabama, and that's the severe risk. Today, there could be some strong thunderstorms, even a tornado threat here into the warm sector with temperatures, look at this, in the 60s here across the panhandle of Florida, up into southern parts of Alabama, upper 50s and 60s. So a lot of moisture moving north over top of our cold dome of air. That's going to, of course, increase the severe threat, but you can imagine all of that moisture moving north into this cold air mass that will continue to cause problems here across the southeast. Back to the west, the snow and the ice starting to settle down across parts of East Texas. We're almost done with things here now, except for the snow, the light snow that's falling up across East Oklahoma right now. But look at these temperatures. Single digits being reported from Wichita, near zero, in some cases just below zero north of that. Air temperatures right now across Kansas into Nebraska, below zero, teens below zero across parts of Kansas. So a tremendous amount of cold air up into the upper Midwest, temperatures in the single digits to below zero, teens below zero into parts of Wisconsin. And then look at the 20s and 30s below zero air temperatures, not wind chills, across North Dakota and Minnesota. So a lot of cold air moving in with this type of setup. Into the Northeast, the snow's just now starting to move in, at least for the Boston region. Would certainly love to hear what you are seeing if you are in the Northeast right now. And I see your message. Okay, dude, enough of the bad news about is there a way to early spring and summer forecast? I don't think so. In fact, I think we're going to turn really cold, and there could be even more snowstorms on the way heading into February with the type of setup we're in. Yeah, and there's going to be close to 20 inches. I think somebody gets 2 feet of snow. I said this last night. With temperatures right now in the single digits across the Northeast, it's easy to see how that those snow ratios are really going to increase here over the next couple of hours. All right, let's take a quick tour of some of the precipitation types that we're seeing. We've talked about this mixed precip. A couple of the mesoscale precipitation discussions to talk about. They're talking about the mixed wintry precipitation in eastern West Virginia into the Delmarva. We'll skip why this is happening. A lot of warm air moving aloft. What you need to know is 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch an hour of the ice is expected across this region as this moderate precipitation continues to move into this region with a lot of freezing rain. And that's, when we say ice, I'm talking about freezing rain. So you can imagine the weight that would cause on the power lines and trees. Further to the north, the snow definitely breaking out here. Some of the observations across southern New Jersey. We've got snow breaking out. Mount Holly, last hour, 13 degrees with snow. Visibility down to a quarter of a mile here as this intensifies across the northeast. Zooming in just a little bit, you can see the snow picking up into New York City too. Snow being reported at Teterboro. Heavy snow last hour. Quarter of a mile visibility at Teterboro. Also, we've got heavy snow into Philadelphia. 16 degrees right now. Visibility down to a quarter of a mile at Philadelphia as well. Heavy snow being reported in and around the Philadelphia metro region too, and even up towards the Poconos. It's not as heavy in some of the spots, but there are some heavier bands. Scranton reporting snow, visibility down to half a mile. And then into Delaware, Wilmington, heavy snow being reported, 16 degrees right now with that visibility down to a quarter of a mile. So it is thumping snow right now across this area with several inches of snow. Thanks for that report at Toms River, New Jersey, about 5 inches of snow on the ground, and you're going to get more with these snow rates increasing. Right now, we're seeing it at about 1 to 2 inches per hour. Wouldn't be shocking if some of the heavier bands are putting down a little bit more. That snow is only going to increase across western Mass. We're starting to see some light snow accumulation at this point, and the snow really just not really even getting started up into parts of Vermont and New Hampshire, also into Maine. That snow getting much closer. Back into southern Ontario, we've got some reports coming in here. 2 inches in Windsor. Makes sense. We're also seeing some light snow back across southern Michigan into Detroit. Lighter snow up towards Toronto and Hamilton. Very light here compared to what's happening just to your south into Ohio where the snow is coming down. I'd be interested to see how much of this is actually mixing over to freezing rain once you get down towards Cincinnati, northern West Virginia. If you were to believe the radar, you would think it's snowing everywhere here, but I know there's sleet mixing in with this type of setup. Across western PA, Pittsburgh, last hour, snow being reported with visibility down to half a mile. So we're still all snow here. Let's go back a little bit to the south, and let's look at the freezing rain and the sleet across Tennessee. Temperatures here warming up above freezing. I was talking about this yesterday. I want you to look at this. I see this in Greenville, Tennessee, 45 degrees. I don't know if it's really that warm, but it could be here, 45 just to the east of Johnson City. That might be Mountain City, Elizabethton here. Some of the reports at about 4,000 feet in this region are in the 40s. So that gives you an idea of how warm that area is aloft. And I'm telling you this because, check it out. You get up into these mountains here, you're at 4 to, in some cases, some of these higher peaks over 5,000 feet. And with reports of temperatures in the 40s here, just to the east of the mountains where that cold air is locked in, it's in the teens, way down into the teens. And with this strong wedge in place, I don't see this breaking. Sometimes this can start to erode across North Carolina, but with this type of setup, I just don't see it happening. It's just going to be way too cold. And then off to the southwest, again, plenty of moisture moving northeast into this right now. Nashville, right on that line, we're up to 33 right now, which is good news, but just west of town, temperatures near or below freezing. Once you get back into West Tennessee, you go west on I-40, conditions deteriorate even more. Back towards Jackson and Memphis, we're in the teens. In some cases, back into the low teens now, back across Arkansas, where some of the freezing rain has flipped over to some light snow. And I imagine that it's a slick go right now on I-40 in Arkansas and I-30 as well. And in many of these areas where we've seen this wintry mess and this precip. The back end of it now, moving through central Arkansas, Pine Bluff, we're getting a little bit more freezing rain, and we're starting to see that back off across West Louisiana. So Shreveport, you're pretty much done with the freezing rain at this point. There may be a little bit of freezing drizzle left, but the bulk of precipitation now moving to the east. So now we're looking at places along the Mississippi River. Temperatures across East Mississippi, or West Mississippi, I should say, cold enough that we're seeing that freezing rain. Look at this, 24 up here towards Greenville. And then you're a little bit warmer to the east. You're being saved, but not by much. You are in the mid to upper 30s across eastern parts of Mississippi as that southerly flow has been warm enough to bring you up a little bit above freezing. again, this is the big risk here across northwest Mississippi into West Tennessee for now, with the heaviest freezing rain falling here. And again, the snow increasing in coverage across the Northeast. Across New Jersey, you're getting some sleet, you're getting some snow, across the Delmarva, but here's the thing, it's not all snow, it's mixed precipitation. And I think the potential for you to mix over and change to rain, possible the further south you are. We're already starting to see that across parts of the eastern shore of Virginia, where we're climbing up into the 30s, 20s, mid-20s here up across parts of eastern Maryland here on the Delmarva. Up towards Dover, we're still in the 20s and teens. So it's pretty cold up into this region. The cold's locked in a little more with that thicker layer of cold air. You've got sleet, and sleet is going to eat into it will eat into your snow totals, so don't expect to see nearly as much. And then across Pennsylvania, it is just cold, and also here into New York, a fluffy snow. These snow ratios are going to be absolutely incredible with these ratios pushing, 15, 20 to 1 in some cases. Where's it all headed? Let's talk about that now. We've showed you kind of what's going on. If you're just joining the live stream, you can take it back. We're kind of looking at the radar, but a quick look, a big overview of the European. I want to let this go quickly because we don't want to sit here and dig into where this thing's going on this particular map, but you can kind of see where it's going as far as its exit strategy. It's gone as we head into Tuesday, and behind this, it is going to be extremely cold. Record-breaking cold possible in some of these areas with numbers below zero at times. Take a look at the precipitation, and let's show you how it's going to evolve over the next couple of hours. Here's where we are right now. Time above me is Eastern, so it's 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central Time. There's the freezing rain, the HRRR lining pretty close to what we're seeing on the radar. The only thing that I think would be a little bit different would be maybe some precipitation type issues. You may be seeing sleet where it's the future radar or even the radar showing snow at this point, but this all starts to move to the east. So across Mississippi, you start to lose the precipitation and finally get a break as we head into the afternoon. So by 1 o'clock, most of that to the east. There is a problem with severe weather off to the south and east, and we'll show you that in just a second, but that snow continues to work off to the north and east and build in here across New England. It's going to get heavy too across southern Connecticut, New York, Western Mass, Pennsylvania. It's going to thump here. I think somebody in Massachusetts is going to get 2 feet of snow into parts of New York too. And New York City, the problem will be as we get into the evening hours, I think we're going to mix over to some sleet. Into New Jersey as well. We're already seeing that, and that will cut down on the snow totals compared to what your neighbors to the north are going to see, but we're still talking about a lot of wintry precipitation. The HRRR has been doing a pretty good job of lining up these precipitation totals, so I'm going to stick with it. I do want to show you something interesting, too, that's happening in the Northeast. I'm backing it up. I want you to watch this area right here over the ocean. You can kind of see these bands setting up just a little bit, okay? So I think that's going to be some ocean enhancement that's happening here as our winds turn out of the Northeast, as surface low pressure deepens off the coast. Start to pull those winds out of off the surface inland a little bit. So the moisture will increase across Boston, at least near the coast, by a little bit, right? We're not talking about a tremendous amount, but enough that could push you up to 2 feet of snow in some of these areas. The official forecast in Boston is super impressive, approaching 2 feet, I do believe. That ice continues across North Carolina. I'm going to back this up because we just talked about the snow in the Northeast. There's another component of this storm, including the ice, but also the severe weather across the south. There could even be some tornadoes across parts of Florida. So this is an impressive-looking storm as it moves to the east. That rain expanding across western Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky, and we're talking about rain, a tremendous amount of warm air surging north, and it's going to scour out some of that cold air. But this, my friends, in Virginia and North Carolina and the Northeast Georgia, this is the problem. All this moisture is moving your way. We looked at the temperatures in the teens, and those temperatures aren't going to warm up. So now you could be dealing with another round of heavy freezing rain by this afternoon across Northeast Georgia, the upstate of South Carolina. This is not it. We are not done. You may be in a lull right now, but this second wave is coming through, and we've got more ice on the way in the form of freezing rain from the upstate of South Carolina into North Carolina. So think I-40, you're going to be impacted across North Carolina. I-77 from Columbia all the way up, I think, into West Virginia. I-81 once you get east of the mountains here. So say from, northeast of Abingdon, but get up here toward Roanoke, head northeast all the way to Winchester. Then you start to get into that mix here and around the D.C. region into Baltimore and Philly too. But heavy freezing rain to me looks likely this afternoon into Virginia, the New River Valley, the Roanoke Valley, into Lynchburg, into the Piedmont. ahead of this as this moisture moves north. Now, severe storms continue to move their way across the southeast into Georgia as we head into the evening hours. Damaging winds, some tornadoes possible with these as well. Enough wind shear that's going to be a concern. And the snow is going to be going still. I mean, this is not done. This is 6 o'clock tonight Eastern. It's 10 o'clock Eastern as we're making this live stream. So at least 8 more hours of heavy snow on top of what you're already getting in some of these areas across Pennsylvania. We're starting to see the snow settle down by this evening across Illinois, West Kentucky. The mixed precip is pretty much done, and it's moving out of Ohio by tonight. We are going to see some lake effect behind this as the Arctic air spills in, so do expect that. But the main precipitation starts to move off to the east. Heavy snow still going by 11 o'clock tonight here into parts of Massachusetts, into down east Maine. We are losing the precip across the Piedmont, but, here's the deal. There could be enough cold air around and some drizzle that there could be some freezing rain possible still even behind this. And then eventually we turn cold enough that it's all snow. Any flurries and snow showers won't be a huge deal, but it's going to be really cold behind this. Look at your severe weather risk today, and then we'll look at those temperatures, which I think are a huge problem. Severe storms across southern Georgia, Alabama. Biggest threat will be across the panhandle of Florida, up here into southern Alabama, where we could see a few tornadoes. If you look at the tornado outlook, it's not zero, but it's certainly there. So there are two sides to this storm. Official forecast snow totals in the Northeast. I wanted to look at this and go, am I looking at a model? Nope. The National Weather Service has bumped their numbers 20 plus here across parts of New York into Massachusetts, southern Vermont, and New Hampshire. The Green and White Mountains may be big winners out of this. You may get 2 feet plus in some of these areas, but look here into the Northeast. I want to zoom in just a little bit closer here while we're on the live stream, because this is an impressive look into not just the New York City region, but really into Massachusetts. The official forecast in New York is about 8, 9, 10 inches of snow, somewhere in that range. But look at these numbers in Boston. Almost 25 inches of snow in and around the metro region, at least 24 inches showing up. So it's easy to see how 2 feet of snow it's on the table, and that extends into Western Mass. Back to Springfield, the official forecast right around 20 inches of snow, and then back again into parts of New York. Big snow falling here. Let's go just a little bit to the west into PA, because these are where some heavy numbers are going to total out too, over 15 inches. So I think a solid 12 to 18 across northern PA into southern New York. So Rochester, Syracuse, you're getting 12 to 18, I think, out of this. And those numbers significantly drop to the south just because, and by the way, the snow's already underway. So I don't like showing snow total maps too often, but I do want you to see what the blended data is showing. That's why you've seen that increase. Last night I was talking about this on the live stream, how you're starting to see 2 foot plus numbers in this region, and this is definitely what we're starting to see unfold. As far as the freezing rain goes, again, some of this may have already fallen, but this is in addition to what you've already seen. So another quarter to maybe a half an inch of ice across Mississippi in the form of freezing rain, and then more on the way here into North Carolina. We could see another quarter inch up to maybe an additional half an inch of freezing rain on top of maybe what you've already seen. So more is on the way. Snow is going to be well to the north of here. We're in the mix across the south. Okay, let's look at the temperatures. This will be a huge deal in the coming week. You've got a lot of ice on the ground in the form of whether it's sleet, freezing rain, maybe it's snow, maybe it's all of them, maybe it's a snow with a crusty top on it, but now you're going to turn temperatures cold. As we head into tonight, look at these numbers falling in Mississippi down into the teens. So if you've lost power here, unfortunately, it's going to be a rough go. So check on your neighbors if you are in the South. Make sure your friends and neighbors have heat. Folks who might be living alone, elderly. I mean, this is the time when we need to come together and say, look, make sure everybody's okay. Especially in areas right now where the power's out. Maybe if the power's out, you're not watching me. Maybe you're on the phone. I don't know. But either way, it's going to be rough. And maybe you've still got power for now. But there could be additional power outages in these areas. As we head into tomorrow, these high temperatures aren't going to warm up a lot either. We do get up into the 30s across southern Mississippi, but northwest Mississippi into Tennessee, 20s and single digits, especially up here into Kentucky, and teens. Below zero temperatures heading into tomorrow afternoon expected across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. That cold moves east, and now we're getting really cold across western PA into Virginia, where we have had all this ice by this point, so temperatures plummeting below zero. So Tuesday morning, very cold. Temperatures may actually warm up as we go through Monday night and Tuesday. But if you call single digits and teens warming up, high temperatures, though still cold in the teens and 20s, and another reinforcing shot of cold is on the way. That's going to be the story this week. Extremely cold weather moving in. And look, these temperatures may not get above freezing in many areas for several days. In fact, this entire week, some areas will not get above freezing. This is Sunday. This is the European from last night. It's not warming things up. Welcome to the deep freeze, friends. And I'm going to show you what that might mean for our storms, too, coming up, because there could be still something I think needs to be watched heading into next weekend. Across Texas and Louisiana and the South into Arkansas, Oklahoma, it's cold here, but we do warm up a little bit. I mean, it's not going to be as cold as the upper Midwest into the Midwest, down into the Mid-South, and also the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, but it's still cold. The brunt of the chilly air moves just to your east, but as we head toward next weekend, some of the models are trying to bring that cold back down into the south. Across the west, it's a different story. It's warm out here. I mean, we've got a decent ridge right along the west coast. Some of that cold air trying to slip down the Rockies, but I know we've been primarily talking about what's happening across the east because clearly that's the biggest storm, but it's not the only weather going on. There is some snow moving into parts of British Columbia. This area has been relatively dry lately, with at least last week, but we do have some precipitation moving in here with a bit of an onshore flow, and then maybe some precip here into the northwest by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday. Otherwise, when I look at this, here's what I see. Ooh, bang, a huge trough that's dug out. Decent ridge. Actually, that's probably not 100% accurately drawn, but you've got your ridging here. You've got a little bit of a trough moving into the Pacific Northwest, but either way, big trough in the east digging out. And then some precipitation does start to pick up, again, along the Pacific Northwest into British Columbia. And then as we head into next week, we're going to have a couple of things happen. A few clipper systems. There's one. That'll bring some light snow through the Great Lakes in the Northeast. And then behind this, the cold air builds in. I mean, this right here, guys, is coming straight out of the Arctic. I'm just watching these waves move in from the Northwest. I want to show you the departures from average in just a second. It tells the story a little better than this map. But that's a pretty strong Arctic high moving in, settling up across the central United States by the weekend. Now, what does that mean? Do we end up with more snow? I don't know. Watch the Western Gulf. I've been saying this, Kim. Is this going to be too strong and suppress any storms? I think it might be. The European from last night is trying to hint at it. If you can see it here, right? Look at it. A little bit of snow trying to show up on the panhandle of Florida, right here along the coastal areas of North Carolina. And look how the storm is developing right here out to sea. We're looking at a model now for Saturday and Sunday of next week. That's a long way, but here's the deal. All this has to do is, in the forecast model data, just shift a little bit to the north. This is a time period to watch. And I'm telling you what, this cold looks to be reinforced into February with more clipper systems on the way. And what we're not saying is this is the storm that's happening now. Who's to say that with this type of setup, you don't get another storm that looks like the one we're dealing with right now? Might look a little different, but more on the way. Take a look at this. I want to show you the anomalies. I think this tells the story of all of that cold air working in from the northwest. These are temperature departures from average. I am just going to let this roll out because this right here gives you an idea of what we're seeing. And if you look closely, you can kind of see how most of this is just going to be reinforced again and again and again. Incredible. I mean, I look at this and just go, what in the world? So a lot of purple showing up. Look at the date above me heading into February, a little bit warm across the west, but another blast in the east. That's cold. All right, that's all I got for this stream, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day wherever you are, and